Well, hello everybody, Backyard Scrapping here. Welcome to the next part of our video. I actually had some other chores to do, but you can't really see it out there. We've been cleaning up the back and I was going to mow, but it is now raining. So, we're going to get in here in the rain because we can't do anything else, and we're going to finish up our drop, get it going, get it silver dropped out of this stuff. That is our Mylar stuff. It is finishing filtering out right now. So when I get set up, we'll get back at you. I'm going to go ahead and do the normal tests that I do, you know, for this silver, just putting a little bit in a test tube and sticking a piece of copper in it. The only one I'm really concerned with is going to be this one. If we get black, you know, if we get that black sludge looking stuff, sometimes the tungsten contacts throw that, but if we get that, we're just going to do a chloride drop on that. So I will get back at you guys when we're ready to start dropping some silver. Okay guys, I was just getting set up, getting ready to drop that, you know, drop these silvers, and I was doing something and it made me think, I don't think I've ever talked about this before. But anyway, these are the vessels we're going to use to drop our silver. This is the copper we're going to use. A lot of people don't like using, you know, electrical copper or whatever because of the coil, you know, and there being little fine bits of copper that can break off. But if you figure your numbers right, you shouldn't have that problem. And I was making my coils up and I thought, I've never told this to you guys before. This wire is like the standard wall. I used to know all the numbers, 10 to 12 to all. I don't know. I don't remember which is which anymore. But this is like what you would use for a standard outlet or something like that. And this is heavier, maybe for 220 or something like that. But the way I basically have always figured to drop the silver is it takes about 1 gram of copper, ballpark. This is not exact. This is a guesstimation. It has always worked for me. I don't know the exact figures. I don't know if it's 3.5, 2.75. I don't know. But I have always figured 1 gram of copper to drop 3 grams of silver. So about a 3-to-1 ratio. So a way to avoid having your coil run out or not have enough copper where you get those little teeny fine pieces of copper that end up breaking off is know what your copper weighs. So for an example, this thinner wire, a foot of it is about 9 grams. So I know basically I'm starting, if I take my starting ratio and use that as my base, so I know there was almost 60 grams of contacts here. So if I figure I'm going to drop 60 grams of silver, which I know I'm not, there's going to be a loss, you're safe. There should be more than enough copper here to do that. But that's how I figured. The heavier one here, a foot of it's about 13.5 grams. So you can kind of figure out how many feet you're going to need just by what you started with and a general percentage. I always just go from a base of what, so in other words, this one's 200, this one we started with 234.33 grams, the bigger contacts. That's going to be approximately 80 grams of copper to drop that much silver. So here I actually have close to 95 grams. That's enough to allow for my hook where I'm hanging it like that, and some extra to be sure that there's enough there. But like I said, I don't think I've ever gone over that before. So the heavier gauge wire is about 13.5 grams a foot. This lighter gauge wire is about 9 grams a foot. And it's very simple. You don't even have to waste a foot. Cut an inch of wire, strip it, whatever it is, weigh it, times it 12, and you got your weight per foot. But very simple. But like I said, I don't ever think I discussed that before. But anyway, let me get back to getting this stuff set up. Like I said, we're going to drop in these this beaker in these jars, and then we're going to get over there and we're going to see what we got out of those Mylars. So let me get this set up and we'll get back at you. Okay guys, we are going to get ready and do our first test. This was the tungstens. So what I'm actually going to do is just take a pipe head of this, and I'm going to put it in our test tube And we are just going to stick that in there and see what happens. And as I see, we are just getting silver. I'm not seeing any. I'm not even going to have to set that in there. It's already going good. Yep, let's see if you can get a better look at that. You can see we're just getting silver. We're not getting any of the black. So obviously we can drop that with copper. So I'm going to just knock that off. And I'm going to rinse this off. Like so. Stick that in there. Put this over here for just a second. We're going to rinse that bad boy off a little better. Going to go ahead and transfer our fluid. I'm only doing this because I want to have room for the silver to fall. Otherwise I could just drop it right in this beaker. But, you know, like I said, I want room for the silver to fall. Just make sure you get all that base out of there. And we can go ahead and dump this in here, because it's going in there anyway. Give that a little mix. And we're going to drop our coil in and let it do its thing. I'm not going to go through this each time. I'm going to do exactly the same thing two more times, and then we're going to get to work on our other stuff. But I am going to go ahead and drop that in, let you get a look at it. And we are dropping silver. Now this is from our tungsten. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that up on the shelf, let it do its thing, and get these other ones tested, make sure they're good to go, and we'll go to work on our Mylar test. So we'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay guys, real quick, I just want to show you something. That was our tungsten. Alright, as you can see, we got a lot of action going on in there. That is because we had an excess of nitric acid. So my copper figures on that are going to be a little wrong, because what's going to happen now, because we had that excess of nitric acid, it's going to take a little more copper to drop this, because what's happening is the silver is going back into solution and dropping out and going back in and dropping out. And you see how nice and smooth and even this one is? Okay, our nitric was spent. This one, we had too much nitric left and I didn't neutralize it. But in an instant like that, or in a case like that, it's just going to take more copper. That's all. It'll just take more copper to push it out of solution. But I did want to show you side by side how it should look. This is how it should look when it's dropping. This is how it looks when you got too much nitric acid. So I just wanted to show you that right quick. I'm going to go ahead and get this other one put in the beaker and get it ready to drop. And I'm curious about these Mylars, so we'll be back. Okay everybody, I just wanted to show you things have quieted down a little bit, slowed down. We're getting some good clean drop silver now. I'm just going to let that bad boy sit, and I'm going to go do some chores. So, because all I got to do is sit here and watch that. I actually need this beaker, or I'm going to use this beaker to drop this. So once I get this all finished up and cleaned out, we'll get on that and see what we got. Our guesstimations are, so far I'm hearing anywhere from 5 grams to about 12 grams. So we will actually see what we end up with out of that in a bit. Right now, look at all that sticks I got to pick up. So we'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay everybody, it is the next day. I let all that stuff settle, shook it off and let it settle. I have done one cool water rinse, just a light rinse, not really anything to pour off any silver or anything. I've divided our big batch of beakers into 2 separate beakers, because we still have to boil these in hydrochloric acid and get rid of any copper residue or anything else. So I have done that repeatedly in videos, and I know you guys don't mind, but I'm kind of pressed for time. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do all this stuff off camera. I'm just going to boil water like I always do, rinse it really thoroughly, clean it real good, put some hydrochloric acid in it, boil it again to remove any other minerals or any other metals or copper or anything like that, so that we end up with a pure silver powder. I've done it, like I said, in previous videos. You can go back and look if you haven't seen me do it. But in several of the silver videos, you know, I showed, in fact, that one big refine, I showed, you know, actually boiling the, you know, the silver powder in hydrochloric acid and getting, you know, cleaning the rest of the metals out. This is what we've all been waiting for. So I am actually, while I'm cleaning this stuff up, I'm going to go ahead and start this drop on this. And like I said earlier, you know, we've had guesstimations anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10 grams. So I am basically just going to drop this bad boy in here. Well, I dropped the whole thing in there, so that's all right. I can get it out with tweezers. But we'll just let it sit in there and see what happens. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be hanging. I'm not expecting, you know, a large amount of silver off of this. So we'll just let it sit in there. Alright guys, I will get back at you when this stuff is cleaned up and when we're ready to start cleaning that up. So I'll get back at you guys in a bit. Okay guys, just popping back in just to show you what's going on. I fished that out, got it cleaned off, and just showing you how our silver's dropping. So I just wanted to pop back in for a second and show you that we are getting a nice reaction. So we're just going to let that go, and like I said, I'll get back at you guys when we're ready to show you something else, and when we're ready to do a final tally on this stuff and see what we ended up with. So this is our Mylars dropping now. I'm letting this stuff settle out, and then I'm going to do the rinse like I said. So we'll get back at you actually with the tally. I'm not going to pop back in anymore. I have some other chores I have to do today, so I'll be out here in between doing this stuff, so I really can't video it. Just too much to do today. So like I said, I'll get back at you in a bit. Hey guys, we're in the middle of cleanup right now, and I know I said I wasn't going to pop back in until we were done, but I just had to show you, just for those who haven't seen it. This is the silver. I'm just now heating it up in some hydrochloric acid. I'm going to actually let it simmer for a little while. Look at the color in that acid already. Okay, that to me, I don't care what anybody says one way or another, that tells me that there were still impurities left in this silver. Now, it could have been from the copper coils, it could have been from whatever, but the point I'm trying to make is just dropping the silver doesn't mean you got pure silver. You still got to clean it up, especially if you're not going to recrystallize it, you know, or run it through a silver cell. You want to make sure your silver is clean. So I'm just showing you right quick. If that was clean, that would be clear. So, alrighty, I'm going to stick to it from now on though. I'm going to get this stuff cleaned up so we can finish up this refine. So we'll be back at you when we are ready to do some weighing. Well, hey guys, we are done. We got this stuff finished up. I got it washed, cleaned, acid washed, dried, the whole ordeal. So we're here to do our tally. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get through this video, but I have had, I don't know, 50 projects going on. I mean, I know y'all know, and I keep bringing it up, but you know, the issue we had with my dad last year. Well, before all that started and happened, I was actually starting to re-side the house and work on the piles in the back, and you know, try to get stuff cleaned up, and you know, that happened. So I was almost, you know, probably about almost 10 months where I couldn't do anything. So stuff actually just got worse. And so in between, I've been outside working, I've been inside in the house. In fact, I'm even going to probably throw up a little video to show you what I've done on the house. But anyway, that's why this has been so sporadic. I mean, I'm finally getting where I'm caught up. The front of the house is done. Part of the side is done. Got the driveway done. Got the back piles chopped up and everything, and the creek bank cleaned. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with this tally. This was our large contacts, the normal ones. This was those odd ones that I wasn't familiar with. This was our tungsten, and then this ended up being our mylars down here on the end. These necklaces turned out to be just, they're just plated, basically, you know, fake jewelry or whatever, so I'm going to return those to him. This is the stuff, the mylar material that is going to have to be burned because it's sealed in between, so this is a whole different process. I'm guesstimating, there's 2 laptop mylars here, and then with this other stuff, so I'm guesstimating there's probably about 3 to 4 mylars worth of material that we did not process. So that's going to be returned to him as well. And let's get down to the numbers. So with our regular contacts, or our ones we're normal, you know, that we're used to, our bus bar type contacts or whatever, we started out with 234.33 grams. Our yield was 206.17, so these yielded 87.9%, almost 88%, so that's pretty good. I mean, that's really good. Our oddball ones that I have not seen before, and they even came out a little different color. I don't know if you can see that. It almost looks like it was a chloride drop, but it wasn't. It wasn't a chloride drop. And by the way, all the push metal and the settling water metal is in here. I waited an extra couple days so that I could do all that, get the push metal out of the rest of the silver out of the solution, and the rinse water metal. So all the silver is here. Anyhow, these we started with 59.96 grams. We yielded 49.42, which is 82.4%. So these were not quite as good as our regular ones. And that's why I said they had that black layer on the back. I don't know what that was. I have no idea. I don't know if it was an extra little sheet of something or whatever, but anyway, and they did come out. And this has been acid washed. I mean, I know I popped in, and showed you just before we got to this part where I was acid washing it, because I know not all of you have seen me do that. This was our tungstens. We started with 36.84%. We yielded 12.31% for a 33.4% yield, which tungstens can be, anywhere from 25% to 70%, just depending on how thick, or if they're the sponge and it's inside them, or whatever. But that's in the normal range for tungstens. So for our contacts, we had a total of 331.13 grams to start, a yield of 267.9 grams for a total yield of 80.9%, which is great. We're above 75%, which is where we need to be. Now, let's go on to the mylars. Had a lot of, or not a lot, but several people make remarks, not remarks, but, kind of guesses in the comments on what this was going to yield. And I think it was, anyway, they were anywhere from 5 for what we started, anywhere from 5 grams up to about 12, 13 grams, somewhere in there. I think it's Boring Old White Guy. I think that's his name. He actually said he gets about 100 milligrams per mylar. He doesn't figure, he doesn't figure them by the weight. He actually does them by the mylar. And so for the mylar material we're returning, we started with we had other little pieces of stuff too. But we started with approximately 114 mylars, or material worth of mylars. We got about 3 to 4 going back. So even if we call it 3, That gives us 111. The Mylars yielded 12.32 grams of silver. So he nailed it. I mean, that is, if you go down to, you know, say we had 111 or 112 Mylars because of what we're sending back or what we didn't do and the little cutoffs of the stuff, he literally nailed it. He's right on the money with that. So you can kind of figure, which, like I said, I wanted to do a test. This was a test. This part of the refine was a total losing proposition. I mean, it was a test. I do know now that it does not pay for me to do Mylars for you. By the time it's all said and done, I mean, because I had to use an excess of acid, but between my nitric acid, my hydrochloric cleanup acid, my filters, absolutely not counting time at all, I have $10 in this jar. In other words, of just my materials, $10 cost to do that. We got 12.32 grams of silver out of it. So gold, or not gold, but silver, I'm looking at the screen right now, and silver is 26.25 divided by 31.104 equals 84.39 cents times 12.32 equals, we have in this little jar $10 and basically 40 cents worth of silver, and it cost me $10 ballpark to do it. So there's absolutely no way that I can take Mylars as a job refine. I'm not going to say that they're not worth saving or they're not worth doing. If you're doing them yourself, hey, that's your silver. I'm going to get $3.08 worth of this silver out of this jar here. Or I'm not $3.08, I'm going to get 3.8 grams of that is mine. So 3.8 grams times 85 cents, a couple bucks. Like I said, this was basically just for the test, just so we know. And I think a boring old white guy, you nailed it, brother. You got it right on the money. They're about 100 milligrams of silver per Mylar. So that's where we're at, guys. We are actually going to pour a bar out of all this. I'm going to take my cut out, my 25%. So I'm getting 66.97 grams of this material, and I'm getting 3.8 grams of that, 0.08 grams of this material, for a total of about 70 grams. I think it's 70.005 or something, whatever, but 70 grams is fine. So that wraps up the refining end of this. We now know, I know, that even if you sent, you know, thousands of Mylars, it's not going to pay for me to do them. There's just not enough. Like I said, to do them for yourself, or if you want to collect them and sell them, or whatever. But to do them as a job refine, there is absolutely no way. I would have to get, if you sent me Mylars for me to refine, I would have to take 90% of it or more just to make it even worth my while at all. And it's just not worth it. I would suggest, you know, keep taking your Mylars, keep saving your Mylars, stack them up, sell them. I mean, sell them on eBay, or, you know, somebody else may want to buy them or something like that. Or down the road, you may end up wanting to do them yourself. But anyway, guys, so that was our total. We ended up with 267.9 grams from the contacts. We ended up with 12.32 grams from the Mylars. I'm going to take my 70 grams out of that, and I'm going to pour him. He wants a bar poured out of this. So I will do a quick, you know, a fairly quick last video for this series of actually, you know, putting the material in the furnace and pouring him a bar. So guys, that wraps it up. This is our final tally. I will get that bar poured and get that video posted as soon as I can. I'm actually, like I said, working on a video just kind of to show you guys what I've been doing other than doing this, why I've been so busy. But All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Everybody stay safe out there, and we will see you in that final bar pour video. So y'all take care. We'll see you later.
I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.